President Trump is in Saudi Arabia. I'm a bit uneasy about the fact that he met with Syria's president. If you know much about him, he's an ISIS member. He's a radical Islamic leader. There's high prophetic concern because of the shifting alliances that seems to be happening. Now, let's put it out there. Trump is unpredictable. He tends to posture himself in ways that are unexpected for reasons that he has that we're not fully privy to get something accomplished. He's a man, and it's like, saying we're going to build a tower in Gaza. He brings the highest amount of possibility to negotiate from that point down. I'll give him that. But from our perspective looking in, it seems like there could be shifting alliances and a cold shoulder to Israel. Trump made headlines. He met with Ahmad al-Shara, Syria's new leader. He's a Jeep. I'm not talking to you, Syria. Please go away. That was Arabic. He has Jeep jihadist roots. He was a formerly Al-Qaeda affiliate, and there's no warmth from him to Israel. If you've followed what's going on in Syria, not only with the Jews, but the Christians, the massacres, I think the last count I saw was 17,000 Christians were slaughtered in Syria with the transition of him into power. Zechariah, let me remind you, Jerusalem will become a heavy stone for all peoples. And this meeting may reflect a growing strategic distancing from Israel. Was Trump puffing up Netanyahu to get something he wanted so that he could then go to the Arab states and then try to introduce a softening towards Israel in order to accomplish what he wants? Possibly. Arab nations continue to normalize and strengthen ties, and Israel is beginning to increasingly stand isolated. Remember, in order for the Ezekiel 38 predictions to come true, Israel has to stand alone in the world. Will Saudi backtrack on normalizations with Israel? These are all questions that we will soon see. But Trump's alignment with an ex-terror leader has caused tensions with Israel and supporting evangelicals. I think Netanyahu is playing a very cool game right now. He's watching, but he is cautious. Meanwhile, we saw one of the hostages released, an American Israeli from New Jersey, right? Part of the game, part of the negotiations, but nonetheless a victory, as we have 58 hostages remaining. 580 some days in isolation, starvation. Some of these guys have come out looking like they came out of a concentration camp. And Carter gifts Trump a jet, or I guess Defense Department. I like what you were saying, Fred, about the fact that there is a spiritual burden that comes with this. Nevertheless, watch Israel. I always say it. Watch Israel and what's going on around Israel. This one country, this sliver of land, the size of New Jersey, if you count all the surrendered areas that Israel gave of their own land to the Arabs, surrounded by 52 countries and millions of people. There are 16 million Jews in the entire world. Any thoughts? Any insights? Any of your own constatations that have come out as you've watched this? It's been pretty interesting. Keith, find a mic.
Obviously, I don't know what the negotiations are. However, you have to speak with these people to be able to negotiate. Now, I don't think Trump's going to stab Israel in the back, my personal opinion. But that's all it is, my personal opinion. But Melanie and I were having this discussion about the jet and among other things. If you're going to negotiate, you have to meet with the people face to face. Even if they're ugly, you still have to meet with them. Otherwise, you don't have a negotiation, right? And there's different ways to negotiate given the country you're dealing with. Saudi Arabia and Qatar will negotiate different than China would negotiate. So I don't know what I'm seeing Trump do to this point. He has made some pretty astounding decisions and moves that everybody decried. But so far, they're turning out to be, it appears to be positive. We'll see in a year or two, but it appears to be positive. In my opinion, you have to get out and speak to these people. It might not work out, but it's better than dropping bombs at this point. You may have to, though. You might have to go to that point.
And like I said, your good points, Keith. He's done this before. He went to North Korea, met face to face with the Rocket Man, and he does these things. He's not afraid to go face to face. So we have to give him that benefit of the doubt. A lot of sources I'm reading are getting nervous about this. I'm be fascinated to see Bill Koenig's estimations and summations at the end of the week when he puts out his weekly newsletter. This is definitely prophetic movement that we're watching come live. Meanwhile, something else that's caught my eye are this thing isn't working tonight, are the earthquakes. Have you noticed this? Birthing pangs are picking up just like Jesus said. Matthew 21:11, Matthew 24:7, earthquakes in various places are part of the warning signs. Greece just had a 6.3 magnitude quake with tsunami alerts. Tennessee, 4.1 magnitude earthquake rattled the southeast, including Georgia. Tibet, a 5.7 quake struck just a couple of days ago. Santorini, seismic swarms, over 7,700 tremors in recent weeks. The earth is groaning too. And so it matters because this isn't just geology. It's Romans 8:22, creation groaning in anticipation of the coming of our Lord. Combine that with volcanic activity, extreme weather, solar anomalies. This is supposed to be one of the largest year of solar flares in known history. And we're starting birthing. We're not at birthing pains. We're at the contraction point. We are standing on the threshold. Jesus said, when you see these things, lift up your heads. In other words, get your head out of the ground. Get your head out of everywhere else. Don't be watching what all these other stuff. Lift up your heads because your redemption is drawing nigh. In other words, be encouraged, my friends.
Somebody ought to shout.
Well, I'm glad you are.
Holy smokes, guys, look. He's coming.
He is coming. I've never lived in a time, and I know you guys haven't either. I've been watching this for a long time. I've just never seen a world that has been so, everything that Jesus said was going to happen isn't just happening spot here, spot there. It's happening all together right now at this moment. And then I've withheld talking about our dear Pope Leo. I call him globalism's new shepherd. I give it to him. He's a registered Republican. He carries a lot with him, a lot. He's the first American Pope. He was definitely a friend of Benedict. He was elected just a few days ago and is being hailed as the Globalist Pope. He's a Jesuit, which makes it even more interesting, with strong interfaith, climate, and migration platforms. His rhetoric is global unity, shared humanity, ecumenicism on steroids. Here's some red flag quotes that have come out from him recently. we must move beyond borders and denominations. God puts the borders in place. You understand that. God establishes the borders of the nations. It's not up to man to move them. And he also says faith must serve the planet. That sounds a lot like they worship the creation rather than the Creator to me. Now, outside of the Bible, and I approach this with a little levity, but also something to make your eyebrows go, There was a papal prophecy by a man named Malachi, an Irish pope, an Irish monk, who made prophecies regarding a list of 112 popes that ends with a final pope. Peter the Roman, he said, will preside during the great tribulation and Rome's destruction. If Leo the 14th is truly number 112, and that depends upon how Benedict is counted, then we are allegedly at the last hope. But should we put stock in Malachi's prophecy? Well, first, there's no biblical authority with what he's saying. There has been some eye-raising accuracy to what he's provided, but it's eerie, and it's eerie how closely it's tracked over the centuries, but it should not be our foundation. Just maybe a little signal, maybe a little light that says, maybe. It certainly turns heads, especially with Pope Leo's globalist tone echoing Revelation 13. Here's what I know. I don't need Malachi to tell me that we're getting close. I can look around, and as we were just getting excited about, we can lift up our heads right now with everything that's going on and know that our redemption is drawing nigh. So the convergence warning is this. All three of these stories point to a common prophetic thread. A one-world religion is forming, a one-world alliance system is realigning, and the earth itself is crying out. So, friends, this is the time, this is the day, this is the season and the hour that we must have ourselves right with the Lord. This isn't tinfoil hat kind of stuff. I'm not in some dark, we're not in some dark room watching YouTube videos trying to figure out how to connect dots. We're watching prophetic signs happen. Fred, go ahead.
Well, to tie in what you said, whenever a pope picks his name, there's a big significance about that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back and you look at Leo, and you go back to Leo, Pope 10th, he was the Pope in 1517, and Martin Luther and the Protestant Revolution. Okay, the Catholic Church was they owned the faith, so to speak, globally. They were recognized as a thing, and that Pope was actually the 217th Pope. This Pope is 50 popes later. He's the 267. 50 is a jubilee. Okay, so there's a prophetic tie-in to all this, and speaking to what you're saying is actually, I believe it's in United Arab Emirates. They just opened up the Abrahamic House where they have 3 buildings.
Yes.
One's for Judaism, one's for Islam, one's for basically the Catholic Church. And that's the Chrislam, which is Vatican II, which is Pope John Paul. And so
you're absolutely right.
All this is tying into end time prophecy.
Thanks for reminding me about the Abrahamic Center. That's we talked about that some time ago, that was being built, and it's now done. So it's a complex. It's got a mosque, a synagogue, and a Catholic church on one grounds. They're connected with tunnels apparently, and it's basically proclaiming a one world religion under Abrahamic religion. All right. Anybody else got a thought or comment? Keith, I know you do.
Well, the Jesuits are essentially a one world order society.
They're an interesting group.
They are also connected to the Masonry or Illuminati as well.
Yes.
So your speaking on that on Sunday is going to be right on time.
Yes. Nicole?
The thing about the prophecy, and I come from a strong Catholic background of 40 plus years, and the problem with that is that people can force it. Francis, for example, had actually picked Francis and then added Peter, almost like forcing that he wanted to be the last pope, and a lot of his actions would give the ego that he wanted to be the last pope. But people kind of consider him, okay, well, maybe he was the placeholder because Benedict was not dead when he was. It's almost like Benedict abdicated, and then they picked Francis, so Francis was a placeholder, not a real pope. So that's up for debate and people calling him anti-pope. The last pope, here's some food for thought, and y'all love this. The last pope is also called the Black Pope. The head of the Jesuit order is called the Black Pope. Not like color, skin color, but because of the vestment that they wear is black as the leader of the order. So just food for thought. Peter the Roman, even though he's American, he was ordained in Rome.
Right.
So just little tidbits. But the thing is if people know what the prophecy is and what those phrases are, they can insert themselves into those kind of things. So to me, I think it's bunk. Josh Peck, who studies this, he also says a lot of it doesn't line up, that when it was written, yes, the popes prior to that, those phrases all fit them, but after that, they kind of go off. You know, they don't really fit that well. Some do, but people can insert themselves to be a part of prophecy and make it up.
Fair enough. And like I said, it's not in the Bible. It's just something to watch and make you go, But again, we have so much happening around the world right now where we're at. I mean, you could throw that whole thing out the window and it doesn't change where we stand. It's just one of those things that make you go, The Catholic Church is, and we actually talked about this in Israel with some Jews because they were talking about the Catholic Church. And I said, I don't consider the Catholic Church Christian. And they went, what? Really? And I said, yes. And I said, I talked about why and what the background and how the Catholic Church has eviscerated Christianity from the faith. That doesn't mean that there aren't good Catholic people that love Jesus and are saved and devoted to Christ. That's not what I'm saying. But the Catholic Church as an institution has eviscerated Christianity from their organization, and it's replaced with idolatry, and you guys know the rest.